An alarm cuts through the silence at 3 a.m. You unzip a sleeping bag into air so cold you can see your breath. By any biological measure, this behavior makes very little sense. The human nervous system craves deep sleep during these hours. The outside temperature is distinctly hostile, and trying to navigate steep, uneven terrain half awake is difficult. You stumble through pitch blackness, forcing down lukewarm instant coffee. Look at the immense scale of the rock walls looming above this isolated camp. You are completely exposed, voluntarily trading the safety of a tent for hours of uphill grinding. You could easily watch the sun come up from the comfort of a warm kitchen window. Yet millions of people within the outdoor community willingly subject themselves to this exact brand of early morning punishment. Why do humans voluntarily push through severe physical exhaustion just to stand on top of a mountain and watch the sky change color? This obsession suggests that the predictable comfort of modern life might be missing a specific, visceral type of engagement, a psychological hunger that only the pre-dawn wilderness seems to satisfy. For early expedition climbers, the pre-dawn departure was a matter of survival. Look at the thick wool and heavy hemp ropes on these early alpinists. They did not leave in the dark to enjoy the scenery. High-altitude environments degrade as the day progresses. When the afternoon sun heats up snowfields and rock faces, it triggers lightning storms, heat exhaustion, and avalanches. Expeditions learned through trial and error that they had to move when the mountain was still frozen solid. Crossing a fractured glacier is safer at 4 a.m. when the snow bridges over deep crevasses are locked in ice. Generations of climbers followed these strict safety protocols, embedding the early morning start into the standard schedule of major expeditions. Over decades of repetition, those freezing hours on the trail changed. What began as a physical survival mechanism became an essential emotional ritual. Out on the trail before sunrise, the visual world disappears. A headlamp beam slices through the dark, revealing nothing but the dirt and roots directly in front of your boots. This creates immediate sensory reduction. The constant flood of visual information that usually bombards your eyes is swallowed by the shadows. Without distant horizons to look at or peripheral distractions to process, the brain narrows its focus. The mind simplifies down to a few basic inputs: the sound of heavy breathing, the placement of a trekking pole, and the rhythm of forward momentum. Despite the heavy physical toll of hiking uphill, this extreme simplification acts as a moving meditation. The repetition quiets the nervous system. It also reshapes social dynamics. When you are shivering on a rock, sharing a thermos of coffee with strangers after 2 hours of sleep, there is little energy left for social performance. The darkness physically isolates climbers in a shared, vulnerable bubble, stripping away the noise of identity and allowing for a more authentic human connection. By the time the trail eventually steepens toward the summit, your leg muscles are burning and the cold has settled into your hands. This happens exactly as the horizon starts to glow. Psychologists track this dynamic through a concept called effort justification. Notice how the rising intensity of physical exertion directly builds a reservoir of emotional anticipation. The human brain calculates the muscular cost spent climbing through the dark. When that exertion finally stops at the summit, the accumulated tension converts into an overwhelming sense of reward. Driving a car up a paved mountain road to look at an overlook produces a pleasant visual experience. Hiking for 4 hours to reach that altitude produces a memory that feels significantly more substantial. The suffering on the trail isn't a barrier to enjoying the sunrise. It is the essential psychological currency required to give the eventual experience its emotional weight. Dawn is a real-time environmental collision. In minutes, absolute darkness gives way to light. Freezing air begins to warm, and the motionless wilderness starts to move. The circadian rhythm relies on light receptors in the eye, built to detect morning solar radiation. When sunlight reaches the optic nerve, the brain registers a new day. It releases cortisol, flooding neural pathways to regulate body temperature and alertness. Modern life rarely allows this sequence to play out. For over a century, dense urban development, artificial streetlights, and screens have severed us from the natural rhythm of waking with the sun. Stepping onto a mountain peak at first light corrects that imbalance. It forces the body to engage with the exact solar timeline it was built to follow. Watching the dawn from a peak allows the body to realign with the environmental cues our ancestors relied on for thousands of years. The moment the sun crests the ridge, cold shadows break apart, the golden light hits the rock, and the landscape transforms. This specific visual has often represented a psychological clean slate. The light expanding across the valley floor shows that darkness is temporary, offering a quiet sense of renewal. Compare that slow, natural rhythm to the way many wake up today, jolted out of bed by a screen, immediately checking emails and notifications. The grueling alpine start is a voluntary choice to step away from the digital morning and reclaim a rhythm that existed long before the first city was built.
For more content like this, like and subscribe to our channel.